Let's get this over with. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and this smile is fake as hell.
This smile is so real. There's a very it's very different vibes.
I walked in the door to film this evening and just had a little moment.
I literally looked at her and I was like, are you actually okay?
I was like,
No. And I was like, completely valid. I was laughing because what else are you meant to do?
What are you gonna do?
But oh my God. Condolences, Ferrari fans.
Bro, I hate being a Ferrari fan.
There's that meme of Ferrari and it's like, what is it? We're so back, fuck this shit. We're so back. It's we're so back, it's over. The circle. And I feel like we've gone on a full loop.
We did.
In one weekend.
In the weekend, it was the highs of Lewis winning to the absolute lows of waking up this morning to that F1 graphic.
Well, it was we're so done last week. And then it was we're so back, Lewis sprint pole and then sprint win.
Yeah.
And then it was it's so over after quali.
Yeah.
And then it was are we back? With Charles kind of flying?
Yeah.
And doing better. We're on our way back. No.
We are not.
We are not back.
We are in the trenches for real. We are currently equal in the standings with Williams. However, they're technically ahead because of their race results. But yeah, Carlos, I'm sure, is absolutely thriving right now.
Carlos is cackling.
Yeah. I mean, not that he's had great weekends thus far.
No.
But I'm sure
his team is beating your
he's
team.
Looking at Ferrari
yeah. He's have fun, Lewis.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, Lewis, I love how he's had just the full Ferrari experience.
Already.
I
know. 2 weekends in. And just, this is what you signed up for.
They're giving
you
him
thought
the
it
full
was
display.
just memes. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's real.
Mm-mm.
But
oh my God, I saw a meme.
Yes.
And I have to remember it while I think of it. And it was
Okay.
obviously playing off of, wait, your nails are so cute.
oh, thank you. They're press-ons from Cotton On. $12.
Slay. I forgot it now. No, it was Lewis. Wait, no, I'm gonna present it really bad. But it's obviously playing off of there's water in my seat. It must be the water.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was we got disqualified. And be it must be the rules.
Yeah.
I was true.
Oh, I know.
True. Anyway,
R.I.P.
let's
But-
get back to the start of the weekend before
Yes.
everything went tits up for you.
Correct.
Coming into the weekend,
Yes.
flexi wing rule changes.
Yes. And Williams, having to release a statement because they were looking are they going to be allowed to race this weekend, ?
Yeah.
And they were. Did you hear why?
No, I didn't really
All
hear
right.
much about that.
So they copped a £50,000 fine for not being able to present footage of their wing being within their new wing being within the regulations. They couldn't present the footage
I didn't
to
know
the
they
FIA.
had to.
Yeah.
News to me.
Here's why they couldn't present the footage. Someone lost the SD card with the footage on it. Apparently. That's what happened.
Girl, are you good?
Girl.
Do you have your job?
Girl, that is us last week trying to film the podcast. And the camera's dying every 2 seconds.
I fear we are far more under-resourced than the Williams Formula 1 team.
Yes.
But that is crazy.
Yeah, so that's a $50,000 SD card.
Yikes.
Kind of crazy.
Speaking of flexi wing test, I did see a few things coming out of Australia that was McLaren, they won't have any pace once you take away their flexi wing. I'd just like to say that they passed their flexi wing test.
They did. And clearly they had the pace anyways.
Yes, so it's not the flexi wing. You're just being a hater. Alpine failed.
Did they?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Mm-hmm. They failed. Hence why they were fucking nowhere compared to last week. Kind of figures.
Yep.
But yeah, that I think there was there someone? I feel like there was someone else that failed, but I know that all of the top teams
We're all fine.
passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we passed at the start of the weekend. We did not pass at the end.
True.
So shall we get on with it?
Yes.
FP1. So it was a newly resurfaced track, which meant everyone kind of had just the one practice session to kind of work the track out.
Yeah.
which was fun. There was a few little offs and
a lot of people going off.
Charles had a little spin.
Yep.
Which I was like, great. Off to a good start. But Ferrari were actually looking good for a while.
Can't even
they were
remember
running,
what they were.
I know, it was a long time ago. But they were running like P2 and P3 for a lot of like FP1. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
we're back.
My notes on FP1 are very brief.
Yeah, fair.
But also like not that much happened. Jack Doohan had
it was
hydraulics?
a steering hydraulics issue.
Not good.
Yeah, which then caused a red flag, which meant that all the drivers like did their quali runs basically in like the last 5 minutes. So we almost got like a mini quali like
sim
preview. Yeah. And Ferrari were looking really good because they did their laps. And then Lando, right at the end, once again, put like half a second on them.
On everyone else. Like, I just keep giggling whenever that happens. I'm like,
I know. I'm
lol.
just like, oh, cool.
LOL.
I know. It's really just like, But anyways, so that was FP1. I don't think there's much more to say about it.
Not.
Oh, it was good to see Zhou there too.
Yes,
love
Zhou.
Ferrari reserve driver. Mm-hmm. He did a really cool photo shoot for Harper Bazaar.
I saw that. He was slaying.
He was absolutely slaying. Anyway, best thing to happen to Ferrari this weekend. No, it wasn't. But anyways, so then we got into sprint quali.
Yes.
And in SQ1, once again, we had the Ferraris looking good, and then a McLaren, this time Oscar, pops in another lap. Half a second faster, and I've just had enough of that. Ferrari,
I fear it's only the beginning.
I know. But Lewis was looking good. He topped SQ1 in the end. That was nice.
Yeah. Nice. And Liam Lawson.
Yeah. This is like a whole discussion for the weekend, which we might as well have now.
Poor bro is just not having a good time. Yeah. And it's like, it's impossible to know how much of it is him and how much of it is the car.
Yeah.
Because clearly everyone that's in that second Red Bull has so many issues. We know the car is built for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
But like, how long before Christian Horner and Helmut Marko go, you know what? We can't have this big of a gap between our drivers. Maybe we have to like find a split the middle. Max is amazing. Max is going to be good enough, even if your car is like a little bit less.
Totally.
How you like it. And then maybe your second, like at this point, is it your second driver or is it your car?
Absolutely. Like I think that like the F1 media need to start asking more questions of Red Bull because like, yeah, like you said, at what point is it actually just Red Bull's fault for not providing a car that's drivable by anyone other than, and I mean this in the best way, the like freak of nature that is Max Verstappen.
And Max is so incredible that like, yeah, he could probably, and it's obviously it's worked for them, but now it's at the point where the gap is so huge. They're not winning anymore. They're not getting pole positions. You need to make a change. And changing that second driver and ruining people's careers is not really the way of doing that. Like I saw someone say like take out Max, say if Max retired,
which is not like off the cards in the next couple years.
Yeah, even like at the end of this year, like if Red Bull continues to be shit, he might just go, yep, I'm done.
Yeah, or just go to another team.
Yeah, like if Max left and say, for example, they had Checo and Liam, or if they had Yuki and Liam, they would be a midfield / back of the grid team.
Absolutely.
Because that car is not drivable.
No. And they haven't done anything to like future plan and like create a car that is drivable by someone other than Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Like,
because people can shit on Liam and like, he's had a really, really bad start.
Totally.
But swap him and Yuki.
Oh, absolutely.
And see what I'm sure Yuki would be struggling maybe a bit less because he's more experienced.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's the point where it's like maybe he is the better option just because he has more experience handling these sorts of conditions and situations and tracks and stuff like that.
He's experienced as a driver, he's got to learn the car, whereas Liam is
both
like much less experienced as a driver and has to learn the car.
Exactly. So it's like maybe, but I still like in defense of Liam Lawson, it's there's a huge part of it that's not him.
Totally.
And the pressure is already on.
I know.
Have you been seeing it?
The rumors, yeah, that like for Japan that he's going to get
fucking race.
I know. I'm like, surely not. There's no way. There's no way he's getting bumped for Japan. The part of this
rumor that I like is that they're saying not even swap them. Get rid of Liam entirely and bring Franco in. I'm like, that I can get behind.
Yeah.
Because then he's off Jack Doohan's back.
True.
So that I can get behind.
True.
But I would like, God.
I know. It's full
2 races. You can't.
I know.
Half a season is like already short. 2 races. Actually, this is a good time for me to bring up my fun fact.
Okay.
Because it's not good for Liam.
Oh. All right, let's go.
His first 3 qualies at Red Bull, his starting grid position average is 19.67. Nikita Mazepin, first 3 races, average starting position at Haas, 19.3.
Oh.
So he's doing worse than Mr. Mazepin himself.
Yikes.
Which is just not what anybody wants.
No. It's brutal. It's so brutal. And the other thing that I feel bad about with Liam is that, like, say his gap to Max is, like, 0.8, right? Like, 8/10. If, like, last year when Perez was 8/10 behind Max, that was maybe, like, P12, P13, whatever. Yeah, whereas true. Because the field is so much more bunched up now, that's literally last. And Max is not first either. So, like...
It's so true.
It looks so much worse. And then to have 2, like, back-to-back back of the grid starts this weekend, like, the headlines are just brutal.
And it's just going to get worse. Like, the pressure... 2 races in, and like I've seen a lot of comparison between the Red Bull Academy and the Mercedes Academy recently, because they have 2 completely different ways that they go about it.
Yeah.
Red Bull get in a lot of talent, and they're like, you can get in easily, but you're out just as fast, basically. Yeah. And Mercedes are a bit more hand-picked, and they nurture their drivers a little bit more. Like, you see it when like Kimi crashed in Monza, and Toto's immediately on the radio, it's all good, Kimi, it's all good, and then like arm around him in the garage, like he's being nurtured. And like obviously Kimi is also fucking rapid, but like
no, totally, completely, like 2 different takes, but super interesting.
Like Mercedes have had a successful academy as well. Like George Russell's come out of there.
Oh, absolutely.
Esteban Ocon's come out of there.
Yeah.
Like maybe a less than Red Bull, but
but still.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, that was SQ1.
Yes.
But now we don't have to talk about it in actual quali.
Exactly.
The conversation's been had.
Yes. SQ2. Unfortunately, like, Carlos was not having a great weekend. No. He got knocked out in SQ2.
Yeah.
Stroll has been having a really good start to the season. Yeah. Qualified Alonso again in the sprint quali. So that was really good to see for him.
Random.
Yeah. But anyway.
Ferrari had team orders in quali?
Yes. But it was more just like... I don't think it was anything to do with their pace or anything like that. No. It was just like finding the right track position.
But like, it was just weird.
It was weird. I was like, what's going on?
It's like, send them out in the right order.
I know. It was a little, It was like, cool, this is where the problems are starting.
Yeah. But like Charles being like, we've never done this. I was like, oh.
Yeah, for real. And I was like, oh, here comes to having 2 number 1 drivers.
Yeah.
La la la. But other than that, I don't think much happened in SQ2.
No.
And then SQ3, obviously we had Lewis stick it on pole. And Lewis and Max were lining up next to each other.
I thought that was really fun.
And I was like, ooh.
But I was also like, it's a sprint. They're not going to do anything fun.
I know. That being said, they kind of did. But, well, Lewis did. But, Because, like, so at the start, I don't know if you have anything else to say about SQ1.
Not really. I was just going to kind of point out that, like, Lando was having a really terrible time. with the car.
And then it continued into the sprint.
It continued.
But at the start of the sprint, like, Lewis just moved that car over. Because
he knows.
Absolutely not, Max. Get out of here.
He knows.
Yeah.
It's what you have to do.
For real.
It's like, I have a long memory, boy.
Yeah, so that was kind of funny. But then, yes, Lando was not thriving.
He was not thriving whatsoever.
Yeah, he had his little off.
Yeah, which dropped him down like 3 places. Then he was just stuck behind Stroll.
Yeah.
Go.
For like almost
the whole
entire
time.
Sprint.
But it was also because Stroll was being dragged along behind, I think it was Kimi.
Yeah.
So like there was a bit of a DRS train, obviously, which didn't help. And then as soon as Stroll dropped out of DRS from Kimi, it was like the next lap, Lando overtook him. But I'm like, you should be overtaking them anyway.
Yeah, I know. Like, you have this rocket ship of a car.
Yeah, but he was like fighting for his life. Everyone's tires were like fucked.
Yeah, the dirty air in the sprint was crazy.
Because also, like, it was earlier in the morning, so, like, the track, I think, was hotter than it was from the race. So, like, the degradation was really high, plus the dirty air factor.
Yes.
Because the dirty air factor was still a big thing in the race.
For sure.
But the deg was a lot better.
Yes.
And also just the medium tyre, like, even in the race, degged so fast.
Yeah. But it absolutely, like, caught people out for the race, which we'll obviously talk about.
Yeah.
But, like, everyone, I think, went into that being like, oh, yeah, two stop.
No. The hard tyre was just like, boy.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I need a hard tyre in my life.
And then Liam knocked Jack on lap 1 and, like, pushed him off.
Yeah.
Cannot believe he didn't get a penalty for that, for forcing another driver off the track.
I know.
Kind of crazy.
Then Jack got a penalty for doing that by accident in the race.
I know.
I'm like, yeah, he did push him off, but he locked up.
I know. I'm like, where is
Give the man a break.
For real. Max defending Oscar was really good to watch as well. That, like, I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. I was
Get
kind of
in there,
explaining
Max.
to my family as well. I was like, Max is a master of defending.
Yeah.
He is really good. So that was always fun.
Absolutely.
But I am glad that Oscar obviously got through.
Yes.
And it was, our first look at how bad, like, being the dirty air really was.
Yeah.
Because of, like, how quickly Lewis was just like, see ya.
Oh, absolutely. Lewis just took off.
Yeah.
And
it was the same with Oscar in the race, really.
Yeah,
like, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, no dirty air to worry about out there.
I know.
Just chilling.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this weekend is going so well.
Little did you know.
Little did I know.
Ferrari had to bring you straight back down.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you've enjoyed a moment. Bow.
Yeah. Like, we can't have that happening for too long.
Yeah, honestly. The George and Charles battle at the end was also really crazy. That was some really good driving.
That was fun.
From them both. Unfortunately, Charles did not
hold on to it.
No.
I love all the memes of George Russell doing nothing and coming P3. It's really funny.
Honestly, last weekend and this weekend.
But he's clearly, like, that much slower than the McLarens, but that much faster than everybody else.
Absolutely.
So 2 races in a row, he's just been alone.
Yeah. Just absolutely no man's land, but just there. And you're like, you don't even see him on the broadcast.
Because he's not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just driving his own race.
Good for him.
While the front two are battling it out and everyone else behind him and fighting for their lives.
Yeah, he's just like,
yeah. Literally.
It's really funny. And it's like very George Russell coded.
I know. And then, yes, obviously Lewis won, which was very exciting. And after he crossed the line, Jack Doohan had his, like, crash with Bortoletto.
That was so random.
And I was just like, Jack, don't give Alpine any more reasons to get rid of you, please.
I know.
Like, just bring it home. There was no need. There was no points on offer. You were, like, P18.
I know.
Like, chill.
I do love him, like, getting scrappy, though. Like, he was getting down in the race. I was like, go off.
Dude, he was a bit of a terrorist in the race.
But we love it. I was like, this is good. You need to show, like, the way he was defending Isaac Hadjar. Oh. Obviously, he got a penalty for it, but I thought he was defending Isaac Hadjar so well.
Totally. He was,
for the most part.
But he was just, like, a complete terrorist just to the RBs. Like, solely to them.
Yeah, but I was also like, this is good. You need to show Alpine.
Totally.
Flavio Briatore's like,
yeah.
I see nothing.
For real.
I'm looking at Franco in the garage.
Yeah. No,
staring into those eyes.
But yes, the speech that Lewis gave at the end, like, about all his haters yapping.
Me.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm the
like,
hater
we
yapping.
definitely said that you weren't going to do that well in Ferrari, but okay.
It's one sprint win.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing as well. I was like, people are going to fucking start acting like he's won his 8th.
I know.
Like, calm down.
Yeah. Like, it was nice.
Exactly.
And it was a lovely little, like, moment, but it wasn't a race.
No, exactly. And people are there like so excited about it. And I was like, let's bring this down a notch.
Yeah. Like, congrats. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very happy. A nice little bright spot in an otherwise terrible weekend. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that maybe you're on the same page because of what's happened since then.
yeah, I'm just like, I hate everything.
Yeah, you're like, I can't be happy about this anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, anything else to say about the sprint?
I don't think so. I think that's it. Quali. So in Q1, we had Liam Lawson, Bortoletto, Jack Doohan, Ollie Behrman, and Pierre Gasly get knocked out. Jack Doohan had a bit of an early spin. I was like, my guys, stop.
This is not what you need to do. Yeah. Although Franco might be removed from the equation, which would be great.
Yeah.
And then I get to see my boy again. I love Franco.
So true.
Too bad I'm Australian and I like Jack Doohan more.
Yes. Obviously, we've already talked about Liam Lawson in P20.
Yeah.
Amazing job from the RBs.
Yeah, I had that down for that.
Yeah.
They were flying.
Second and third in Q1. Hello?
They've been so good.
So good.
Too bad their team can't do strategy, but like, they've been so good. I've been so impressed with their pace this year.
I know. It actually is a crime that they're P9 in the championship because, like,
it's just not indicative.
Their driving has been phenomenal. And then at some point, the strategy goes wrong and
But
they end
that's
up
what
at the
happened
back.
last year. I mean, they were nowhere near as fast last year.
No.
Compared to everybody else. But they were consistently screwed over by strategy.
Yeah.
Yuki and Daniel. And it was like, well, Daniel Ricciardo's not getting results. And it's like, well, maybe if you put him on a better fucking strategy.
Literally. If you stop
You'd
screwing
have a
him
chance.
over every weekend.
But yeah, it was also Yuki. Like, it was both of them.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway.
But
It's just more obvious now that they're, like, actually fast.
Yes, exactly. They were my main points about Q1, to be honest.
Q2.
Yes.
The same thing happened with Lando just going half a second faster.
Oh. It's always half a second, too.
I know.
Like 4 or 5 tenths.
That's just clearly how much faster the car is than
is.
everybody else.
I know. Crazy. We had Sainz, Stroll, Alonso, Hulkenberg, and Ocon knocked out.
Yeah,
in
Ocon was
Q2.
much better.
Ocon had a great weekend.
Yeah.
Really great
After
weekend.
the disqualifications, P5.
I know. Insane.
What?
Like, amazing weekend for Haas. Double points with a P5.
Yeah, P5 and P7 in the end? P8?
Yeah. Insane.
I mean, you've gained 2, but even without the disqualifications and the promotions, like,
Still double
last
points.
week they were so slow.
I know. We were like,
Slay.
oh my god, Haas, like, trundling around at the back. Like, they're going
Giving
to
Sauber.
suck this year.
Speaking of, Sauber went back to giving Sauber.
Sauber did go back to giving Sauber, yes.
Unfortunately.
It's
It's only a matter of time.
I know.
At least they've got points on the board already.
Literally.
They can hold on to that.
I know. And then Q3, well, first of all, we had both RBs through to Q3.
Slay.
Amazing. Love. And then Oscar
got pole. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
I know.
I was like, this is great news, especially after like everything that happened to him last week. And like, he's never had a proper pole before, but when he's had sprint pole, it's gone pretty well for him in the past.
Yeah.
So I was like, great. Yeah, I was so excited. I did think that it definitely could have been a front row lockout. Like, Lando boxed on his last lap.
Yeah.
And then George just pipped him. So I was like, were you improving?
Yeah.
Like, but he just does that.
He is a bit of a bailer.
Yeah, he never finishes the lap. And I'm like, maybe, I mean, it worked out literally fine. But like,
Yeah.
George split the McLarens.
Yeah.
Which he didn't think was possible.
Yeah, he was like, I can't believe.
Yeah, what? But I'm like, maybe if Lando had finished his lap, he could have been a front row lockout. But
Yeah.
I did not care because I was like, I know he's going to overtake George in the race. I'm so happy that Oscar's finally got his pole because I feel like Oscar, there's been so many times where he's started second to Lando.
Yeah.
Because they have that like gap in qualifying ability to this point. Like,
Yeah.
he frequently gets out-qualified by Lando, and even when McLaren is clearly the fastest car, it's Lando and then Oscar.
Yeah.
So it's nice for him to, like, get one back.
Yes.
It will be interesting to see if that continues, like, if he's continuously, like, gotten better with the qualifying.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I think it will probably seesaw.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah. I know.
But
After 2 weekends, who would you put your money on McLaren as the championship? Drivers' championship.
Oh, it's actually so hard to pick because last weekend Lando was so dominant.
Yeah.
And this weekend Oscar was so dominant. But last weekend, in different circumstances, Oscar definitely would have had a crack at Lando. And this week, in different circumstances, Lando definitely would have had a crack at Oscar because obviously he was managing that issue.
Yeah.
At the end of the, like, it's so hard to know. I think I need to see them, like, actually be free to fight and have, like, no issues, no anything going on.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at this point in time, I have to say Lando purely because of consistency.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
I don't know.
I know. I'm a bit the same. I think if I had to
Consistency.
pick, like, 51-49, I'd put it on Lando. But yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, ask me in another 2 or 3 races and we'll
Yeah.
kind of might have more of a gauge. But it's a long season.
It's a long season.
But I was
It
super
better
excited.
be with Ferrari.
Super
Super
excited.
long season.
Yes.
Anyway.
They need serious help.
For real.
But I was really happy after quali.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually quite, like, all right. Like, we had the third
Because
row.
it wasn't too bad, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 5th and 6th. I was like, honestly, okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway. Then we had the race.
Yep.
So first of all, amazing start for Lando.
Yeah.
Really good start.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
Oscar had a good start too, but Lando had an amazing start.
Really good start. And, like, yeah, that first corner was like, ugh! Like, there was a
Yeah.
lot going on. And that first corner is, like, crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. So much
It's
fun to
a lot of
watch.
fun, yeah. I was just going to say that. But also there was that oil spill on the right-hand side of the grid that they put the cement over. You know how that was the white line?
Yeah.
That was, like, in one of the support races. Apparently there was, like, oil spilled. So they put cement dust over the top of it. But I was like, it'll be interesting to see if the people on that side, so that was, like, the 2nd, 4th, 6th, etc.
Yes.
If they get a worse start than the people on this side, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
So while they did
interesting.
get good getaways, but people were saying, like, Martin Brundle and stuff were like, oh, it shouldn't impact too much.
Yeah,
But I'm
okay.
like, well, they all did go backwards, and these
Yeah.
guys all went forwards.
Yeah.
But so who knows how much that had to play with it. But because obviously George went back a spot, Max went back
went back. Yeah, he had a terrible start. He lost
Ferraris
2
were
places.
up.
Yep.
in each other's business.
Bro! Although,
Faster?
kind of worked out.
Why was he faster? With a broken front wing?
Girl, I don't know. I think it was something about, like, the balance and because of the, like, tire deg and just the, like, circuit. And I think essentially what was happening was, like, the lack of front wing meant that, like, that something to do with the balance meant that it was, like, offsetting the deg that was happening. So his tires weren't degrading as fast. That could
That's-
be totally wrong, but...
So
That's
seems
what I understood.
counterintuitive.
Yeah, like it almost helped him, and it was really interesting in the cool down room at the end. Like when the drivers all saw it,
They were like,
immediately
"What?"
Lando was like, "Oh, that probably helped," or George was like, "Oh, that probably helped." Like immediately they picked up on, "Oh, that's actually probably a
Something.
good thing."
Because it was on that side, that's the tire that everyone was struggling
Yeah, the
with. So
front
maybe like
left.
the more airflow on it, like
I
it didn't
think
like
so. I think it was
heat up as
something
much.
like
I'm going
that.
to stop talking about this because
I
they're
know,
going to get
'cause-
flamed.
yeah, but
But yeah, they bumped each other. I thought it was hilarious when Lewis was like, "Someone hit me." I was like, "That was your teammate."
I know. I was also like, you and Carlos managed to battle like week in, week out and never make contact. 2 races in with Lewis. Boom.
Yeah,
I was like,
literally.
"Alright, this is good."
But it's I feel like because they are still fighting.
Yeah.
Like Charles and Carlos, they kind of had it worked out.
They did.
By the end of, they still had their moments.
Totally.
But they had it worked out.
They did. Yeah.
I feel like Charles and Lewis obviously aren't at that. They've been
Yeah.
teammates for 2 races, and Charles and Carlos were teammates for 4 years. So
Yeah.
it figures. But
I think it was just a shame at the end of the day, though, because, like, yes, we're like, oh, it actually helped, but I think if he'd
Who
had more
knows?
downforce, he probably would have gone faster.
I know.
So, like,
I was like super curious about how fast he could have gone.
yeah,
If
because
he
he
had,
was
he
going
was
good.
good.
Yeah, and
He
especially after he finally got around Lewis.
Yeah.
Or Lewis let him through.
Yeah.
Like, he took off.
And Lewis was like not happy about letting him through.
Well, you wouldn't be, would you? But
No, but I'm like, well, you go and overtake George then.
well, exactly. Like, you're getting nowhere. Charles is right up your ass.
And
like,
getting hurt probably by being in your
yeah,
dirty air.
Exactly.
So anyway,
yeah.
we mentioned it briefly before, but Alonso...
I know, double DNF. To start
Neither...
the
well,
season.
I was going to say neither of his fault. He did smash the car to pieces last week. But
Yeah.
brake
in
fire.
the same spot that he brake checked George Russell in 2024.
True.
Kind of funny. Anyway, karma. But yeah, very unfortunate
Yes.
for Alonso.
Then we kind of got to our first round of pit stops.
Yes.
And a lot sooner than I thought,
yes.
than everyone thought. The medium tyre
yeah.
did not last.
Did not last.
Unless you're Alex Albon.
Dude, Alex Albon's radio message to his engineers where he was like really aggressively like, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. I'm better than everyone. It was so funny. And I was like, all right, Albono,
Yeah.
settle down. But then at one point he was running P1 and I was like, clearly you are better than everyone.
So funny. Yeah, honestly, I was like, stop it here. I'm happy. Like, give the
know.
man a win, please.
It was also his birthday.
I know.
On the race day.
Also, Alex Albon made his medium tyres last 2 laps longer than Liam Lawson made his hard tyres last.
Crazy.
Which-
I mean, that probably just comes down to experience and being able to like manage your tires properly. But
like,
I know, kind
the
of
hard
crazy.
tyre was...
good.
Other people made their hard tyres last 40 laps.
I know. Insane.
Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like the big issue with the first stops as well was like where you would come out because everyone was
The
trying to get
undercut.
out of the dirty air and undercut, and so it was really about like it was less about when are your tires degrading and more about okay, where can we
The
find
gap.
a good gap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the undercut was very powerful. We saw
Yes.
plenty of undercuts,
Yes.
which I like forgot about how to calculate and figure out because there was none of that going on last week
Yes.
because it was just
Last
raining.
week was like just survive, please.
Yeah. So, and it was like, when do you pit for inters, blah, blah, blah. It kind of takes out, not fully, but like, it
Yeah.
removes that strategy a lot, and the strategy's more about like the rain and like what tyre to be on rather than like
Yes.
trying to jump someone else in the pit.
It was quite funny when both the Ferraris came in for their stops shortly afterwards. They like, and we talk about like Carlos being like, ha ha ha, like I'm in a Williams and you're a Ferrari and I'm beating you. But during the race, after that first stop, both the Ferraris, like, immediately one after the other overtook Carlos on the road. And it was because Carlos hadn't come in for a pit, but it was just a bit like,
Ah. Yeah. Well, I was like, he was probably expecting to be looking at that rear wing a lot more than...
yeah.
Actually, he probably wasn't expecting to be seeing a Ferrari
No.
on track.
Yeah. So,
But
I'm
here we
sure
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, then, yeah, obviously we talked about Lewis and Charles swapping plays. We talked about Charles being way faster with no end plate.
Yes.
Because I thought that they were going to change his front wing when he came in for the pit stop.
Yes, I
But
thought
then
that too.
Ferrari calculated, which isn't a very reliable source at the best of times, that they would lose more time swapping the front wing.
Yes.
I said rear wing. That's not possible.
No.
The front wing than they would staying out with less
Yes.
downforce.
Yeah.
So, and they got that right.
They did. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tick, Ferrari.
Tick. Speaking of Italian, terrible segue, but Ollie Behrman's chows to every single driver he passed.
That was really funny.
I was
know
a big
that
fan.
He was like embarrassed about it, and like he was like, people are gonna think I was being disrespectful.
No, I loved
was
it.
like, it was just funny.
Yeah, get it.
It's just
I want that
vibing.
every time.
It's not personal.
No.
I want him to coin that. He's not going to because he's like embarrassed about it and
I know,
like doesn't
but
want
I want him to.
coin it.
Yeah. Like, absolutely.
Make that your thing.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run with it. I loved that.
That Bella Ciao song can be your song.
Yeah. Literally. Out in front,
Yes.
McLaren were very clearly managing their tyres
Yes.
because they were like, Lando, you need to put your foot down to get a better gap to George after he got back past George.
Yes.
And he started taking chunks out of Oscar's time.
Yes.
And then he was like, can you tell Oscar to go faster?
Yeah.
And then Oscar started putting the time back on.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're both clearly like...
I know.
And that's why people have been like yapping about the whole like Lando and Oscar thing, of course, already. But I'm like, nothing that's happened so far is even remotely like they're beefing.
No,
like it's not like Lando was like getting close to Oscar and was like, I'm gonna overtake him. He was like, tell Oscar to go faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this isn't the race we're running. Like, I'll try and get him at the end. Probably was what he was thinking.
Probably. But also, like, I think they weren't sure if George was still going to do the second stop. And he wanted to, like, stop an undercut. So he had to build up, like, a 3-second gap to George and whatever. So he was just trying to, like, you know, move ahead. But, yeah.
Yeah, he was like telling Oscar to go faster. If all he wanted to do was beat Oscar, he wouldn't do that. He would try and overtake him.
Well, because the dirty air also affects you like 5, 6, 7 seconds back as well. So he was probably trying to like get Oscar.
That's what he was doing. Yeah.
No,
so
it's
that
normally
he could
like
go
about
faster. Once he gets like the 2 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
Because he was sitting at that about 5 seconds most of the time.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he started like putting his foot down, he was like, Oscar needs to go faster because I'm getting in his dirty air.
Yeah.
And then Oscar was like, word.
Yeah. Accelerate.
Yeah.
You know what was quite funny was towards the end of the race, Charles's engineer coming on the radio and being like, maybe try not to use so much of the curb in turn 2. Like, it's just, you know, we can find some time there. And Charles literally just being like,
No.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Just no. Try one
I
lap.
think
No.
not. Bro's had enough.
I was cackling at that.
That
and then
was
Yuki as well.
Yeah.
When he was like, they were like, Yuki, what did they say? They said, do this. Oh, no, they said, don't do this. And he said, well, I want to.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't recommend doing this. And he said, but I want to.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
You know what was so sad with Yuki at the end was his front wing just snapping of its own accord. Like,
Literally just gave up on him.
Like, front wing from Temu, for real. Like... How did that even happen?
The fuck? It just snapped. And he was literally like, damage from what?
Yeah.
And it's like, from nothing.
Literally nothing.
The air.
That would be the air.
Literally. Then, it was looking like a one-stop.
Yes.
It's kind of like RB were like, oh, it's a 2-stop. And then they were like, well, everyone's going to do a 2-stop. So they 2-stopped. And then they were like,
I know.
Why isn't everyone else stopping?
Ted Kravitz was like, it's like when you all agree to do something together and you're like, yeah, guys, let's go. And then you turn around and
no one else did it.
But yeah, it was very clearly a one-stop. Because, right at the end, Max was cooking all of a sudden. He was like, oh, yes, let me accelerate real quick. And then did an amazing overtake on Charles.
Yeah.
Like, really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just, all of a sudden, I think his tires kind of came back to him. Or he'd been nursing them.
Yeah, and he was like, well, now I know I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, well, now there's only a few laps left, so I know that I'm going to make it to the end.
Yes.
So I might as well...
Yeah.
Get a bit of a move done.
Yes. And then Lando right at the end.
Yeah. Oh my God.
His brakes. Terrifying.
I was so unbelievably stressed. I can't even
Yeah. Like that would have been.
But also Will Joseph was like, slow down, slow down. And he was like, it's fine. And then all of a sudden it wasn't fine. And Lando was like, ah! And it's like, well, maybe if you just slowed down earlier.
Yeah.
But then also maybe if he'd slowed down earlier, then he actually would have got overtaken. But who knows? But
I know, because George was catching him at a rate of knots.
Yeah. Like obviously
taking like a second and a half out every lap. Like
more on the last lap.
Yeah.
He dropped like I think 4 seconds to George. Because at the start when there was like 3 laps to go, I think the gap was like 9 seconds. I was like, it's stressful, but that's fine. Like at the pace that he'd been dropping back at that point, I was like, we're comfortable. Yeah. We're cool. Second week in a row, give it one more lap, and I don't know. This one, I know Lando would have been done. He would have been fucked if there'd been one more lap.
Absolutely.
And no fault of his own.
No,
but like, last week as well, like one more lap. That one I was like, maybe he could have held on to that, who knows.
Yeah.
But this one,
absolutely
sitting
not.
duck.
Yeah.
And potentially even for more cars if there had been one lap. He was going so slow.
Yeah.
I was so stressed.
I know.
But I was also like, because I think obviously he did want to try and chase down Oscar at the end, but
he was just so far away. I was like, what are you doing? Like, your brakes are starting to fail.
And
your engineer is being very clear about that. And you're still 3 seconds away from Oscar. And there's 2 laps to go. Like, you're not catching him. Let it go.
Yeah, 100%. That's what Will Joseph said on the radio too. He was like, better come second than not finish at all.
Exactly.
And I was like, 100%.
Valid.
But I think, like, after what happened to Oscar last week and then this happening to Lando here, I'm like, McLaren have got off twice.
Yeah.
With not having to worry about their drivers beefing.
No, absolutely.
But,
Zach Brown said afterwards, he was like, oh yeah, like, we just had a little button to, like, sort out Lando's brakes so that he wouldn't catch Oscar and be a problem.
Tea.
I know.
But that's, like, also, I love Lando's response in the interview when they were like, oh, if you didn't have a brake problem, like, would you have caught Oscar?
Yeah.
And Lando, like, he handled that so well.
Yeah, he was like, it doesn't matter anymore.
He was like, well, that's what happened. So, like, I'm happy with second in the circumstances.
Exactly.
And I'm like, good answer.
Yes.
Because they're obviously just trying to, like, poke at them and, like, start some drama in the media.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
I know.
I love that his response. He was like, well, that's not what happened. So
I know.
He was happy.
They
were so happy and so fun. And I was literally like, I love an unproblematic one too. Compare this one to Hungary.
Yes. Much better dynamic.
So much better.
Absolutely.
What we love to see.
We do. And we love to see Oscar on the top step of the podium.
I was so happy.
Good.
I was so happy.
Very happy hearing our national anthem.
I know. I was loving it.
Yes. Big vibes. And great race from Oscar. Like, just kept absolutely cool, calm, and collected.
As
Not
always.
that he was ever particularly under pressure after the start, but, like,
he was cool.
Did what he had to do.
Yeah.
And
did
it very well. I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, I just, like, we touched on George, but George, like, looks clearly like best of the rest.
Yeah.
Like, is he just going to get P3 all year?
I know. McLaren's just rotating, and then George gets P3. I mean, like, that's clearly where him and his car are sitting.
Well, like, I think he's out driving the car a little bit, or he's out qualifying the car, but, like, we all know he's a good qualifier.
Yeah.
And Kimi, obviously, is a rookie, so obviously
and
when things...
Max's car is driving, and the Ferraris are...
God knows what's going on with the Ferraris.
Yeah. So... yeah.
Because then, obviously they got disqualified. We do have to... Let's just briefly recap.
Yes.
Charles and Pierre Gasly got disqualified.
Yes.
For their cars being underweight just. Same thing to what happened to Russell in Belgium, basically.
Yeah. They did the one stop.
When it
wasn't enough rubber on their tyres.
Yeah. See you later. And then Lewis got disqualified for... What's it called?
The plank. Like, on the floor.
Yeah.
Being 0.5 millimeter too thin. 0.5 millimeter.
Yeah. But it's just a double whammy. It's almost better, though, than if they both got disqualified for the same thing. Is that better or worse?
I think it's worse.
Because it's
two
like
problems. You got
now.
two things wrong. Yeah. Not only did you get one, you got two things wrong.
That's true. Yeah. I was going to say it's better because it's not like you just double fucked up, but now you got further problems.
Yeah. So that was really fun.
Yeah. For Ferrari, it made a difference. For Gasly, less so.
Yeah.
It just made a difference for Carlos.
Yes.
And Stroll.
Yes.
That were promoted to points.
Yeah.
Because
Carlos was promoted to P10.
Yeah.
Stroll to P9.
Because Gasly actually finished P11.
Yes.
So he would have gone up into the points. So the second one, Carlos, wouldn't have got up into the points had Gasly also not been disqualified.
Yeah.
Like, you can say it doesn't matter for Gasly because he didn't get points anyway.
Yeah.
But it matters for Carlos.
It does.
Because
he was on the board.
He's on the board. One singular point. Let's go.
But yeah, I mean, it's just...
It's just rough.
So rough.
Yeah.
But we move on.
Should we get on to our awards?
We should. Biggest winners.
Obviously, McLaren.
Yes.
I feel like we could just lock them in as the biggest winner. That's like when I was doing my predictions. I was like, because we do our predictions if you don't follow us on TikTok and Instagram. follow us over there because we do race predictions. Mm-hmm. But I was like going to predict a McLaren win. And I was like, that's boring.
I know. But
I was like, but it's going to be right. Yeah. But I'm like, I need to be more fun.
I know.
You know, one of my predictions was going to be, originally, my prediction was neither Ferrari makes top 5. And then I took it out and I swapped it for the other one, which I forgot what it was, what I actually went with.
Yeah.
I should have stuck with it.
I know. Well, better than my prediction, which was Ferrari don't mess up
Yeah,
the strategy.
that was so on the nose.
Bro!
Anyway, biggest winners McLaren and also Haas.
Yeah, absolutely. I also just said George Russell because he's really just establishing himself. And quite frankly, like we've talked about, if Oscar and Lando are taking points off of one another and then maybe every now and then they have a bad weekend.
George Russell.
If he is just there every time, he could be in the conversation.
And it would be just such a George Russell thing to do.
Like
to slide through at the last moment. Like in Austria.
Shit. Yeah.
And it's happened so many times.
He is just there.
It's just so funny. The seas will part.
Yeah. McLaren out of the way.
The name of that, like, from the qualifying.
That's
him
funny.
in between the McLarens. Anyway, did you said George Russell on top. What about your...
Who do we think are my biggest losers?
Ferrari and Ferrari and Ferrari.
And Ferrari and Ferrari, yes. Also Gasly, obviously. Mm-hmm. Alonso for his double DNFs to start the season.
He's now behind Stroll.
Yeah. And Liam Lawson.
Ooh.
Because...
Yeah.
There's a lot of losers out of China.
I had RB as well. Yeah. And their strategy. Not the drivers, the team.
The team, yeah.
Because...
Fair.
If you want points and you want results, maybe it's Helmut Marko being like, you can't get results because...
So, there's this really funny YouTube channel I follow called Lollipop Man F1 Comics.
I don't watch that very much.
I
see you watch it. It comes up on our Street.
I find them really entertaining. Yeah. They're just like little animated summaries of the weekend, but like in a very like narrated storytelling way.
They're quite funny, yeah.
And in the Australian Grand Prix one that he just did,
the Australian one.
Yeah, he was like, oh, like Helmut was like, you know, like being rude to like various drivers, and then like as he would like say something to them, they would get knocked out. And it's just like it was all the drivers that like DNF.
Oh,
but it was just very funny. It was like sapping their power or whatever, basically.
Yeah, that's funny.
I was like, yeah, that is a little bit like what's going on.
I know. Can we get rid of Helmut Marko?
I know.
Retire.
Get out of here,
please.
I know. Did you have any other biggest losers?
No, I kind of said Sauber. But they're not, like, we expect them to be there. I think they were just a winner last week, less than a loser this week.
Fair. Silliest surprise?
Well, my first silly surprise was double Haas points.
Fair.
Because what the fuck? Never would have seen that coming.
No.
Second silly surprise was Albon leading the Grand Prix.
True. That was...
Slay.
Yeah. Absolute vibes.
He Goofy ass race. Surprise.
I know.
Is he got points again?
Yep.
Slay.
He ended up like P7, I think. Yeah.
Nice. And then obviously just the triple disqualification.
Fair.
I didn't even write it down because I did this yesterday. So.
Fair. Mine was Charles being faster without an in-play.
Yeah, that is goofy as fuck.
So silly. What? Which leads on to one of my biggest memes, which was basically like that meme of the chef like putting a gun to his head with like pasta in it. Being like Ferrari engineers watching their multi-million euro aero package be upstaged by literal damage to the car.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I
saw a similar one and it's Gru when he's like planning and you know when the meme and he's like excited and then he goes and like looks at it.
Yeah.
And it was like Ferrari discarding 90% of their car, designing this new fancy thing. Yeah. Car is faster without a proper front wing. It's like car is faster without a proper front wing. And I was like, true.
Oh, I saw another one that was like the Game of Thrones scene. And it was like Carlos's face overlaid where it was like, tell Fred. I want him to know it was me.
Literally. It's so funny.
But yeah, Ferrari was just an absolute meme of themselves this weekend.
Yes. Did you have any other silly surprises?
I did not.
Did you have any other memes?
Also my memes.
Okay. Because I've got a meme, but it's not a meme. It's just like a funny thing that happened before the Grand Prix, which was just a bit of an Oscarism.
Yes.
And it's when George Russell was asked about, the pace of the McLarens in media day, and George said, I don't think anyone's getting near the McLarens at all this year. I just think they're too fast. Valid comment.
Totally.
To be fair.
Yeah.
But then they asked Oscar about George's comment. Mm-hmm. And Oscar said, he said, I mean, if he wants to count himself out that early, that's on him. And he wasn't being a dick, he wasn't being it's just an Oscar thing to say, and I thought that was hilarious.
That is so funny.
I was like, Diva just got out diva'd by Oscar. Slay.
Oh, I love that. Do you have any useless stats?
My useless stat was the Lawson Mazepin fact.
Fair.
Do you have one?
I have two.
Oh,
I know. So the first one was one that I think the commentators said during FP1 that I thought was really interesting. Mm-hmm. And because obviously Lewis in his rookie season had his moment in Shanghai that led to him not winning the world champion.
He crashed into the wall on the way into the pit lane. That's what his moment was, if anyone doesn't know.
Yeah, which I'm like, does he have PTSD going
into that pit lane? Sorry, continue. I was just going to say the pit lane, when they fly across the back, made me shit my pants.
Like, oh my God, crash!
Flying into the wall.
Yeah.
Pit lane.
Anyways, so they were saying that there were 4 races where things sort of happened that were some sort of in or outside of Lewis's control, but something happened in 4 races. It was China in his rookie year, Malaysia of 2016, obviously Abu Dhabi 2021, and then there was one other one that I missed. But Lewis would have been an 11-time world champion if those things hadn't happened during those races.
Mad.
And if he'd won.
Absolutely mad.
11-time world champion from 4 races.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, that rookie one, he would have been the first ever rookie world champion, which is just crazy.
I know. Insane.
What? That would have been mad.
Insane. So that was my one stat.
Yeah, I love
Did you have anything?
No, I forgot that you said you had 2. So.
No, that's okay.
I love a useless stat. It's actually my favorite.
My second one, I didn't know this until after we filmed our podcast on the Australian Grand Prix last week, but it's more relevant to that and it's super ironic now. But I still have a little bit of hopium.
Okay.
So the last 2 times that Ferrari scored exactly 5 points in the season opener was this year and in 2003. Mm-hmm. And in 2003, a McLaren driver won the first race. Mm-hmm. Michael Schumacher's record-breaking World Drivers' Championship streak was broken in that race. Mm-hmm. And then Ferrari won the World Drivers and the World Constructors' Championship. 2025, Ferrari scored 5 points in the season opener. A McLaren driver won the season opener. That then ended Verstappen's record-breaking World Drivers' Championship streak. And now, Ferrari had a double disqualification.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does that play into your fun fact?
It's a long season, okay?
It is a long season.
It's a long season.
And you're still behind Lance Stroll. Charles is. Lewis jumped in because of the sprint. But yeah.
Anyways, I'm just really hoping that comes to fruition. But I thought that was very interesting.
Yes. Another silly surprise that I had, actually, I'm adding it to the list because we're about to talk about driver of the day.
Yes.
Kimi?
Dude, so weird. So
I'm baffed.
I completely disagree.
I'm baffed. Last weekend, P16 to P4, driver of the day.
Yeah, no.
P8 to P8.
Yeah. So weird.
What did he do?
I would have completely understood it last week. He didn't get it last week, but I would have understood it. This week,
what did he...
All the commentators were like...
I thought it was a glitch.
Yeah. I was like, absolutely should have been Ollie Behrman.
Yeah, he was cooking. We didn't even talk about that. He was pulling over. I mean, we talked about him saying ciao. But some of the overtakes that he was pulling off were great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex Albon, Ollie Behrman, Esteban Ocon.
Even Charles with his broken plate, like, still managing to, you know, put the car where it was.
And no Kimi hate. I love the kid. But, like, P8 to P8.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Stuck behind Yuki the whole time.
Yeah. Crazy.
That was confusing. But anyway, who was your driver of the day?
Well, the three I just said. Oh. Charles, Ollie, and Esty Vesty.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Ollie.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
What was your favourite moment of the weekend?
Well, obviously the McLaren 1-2.
Yes.
And seeing them, you know, on the podium and, like, having fun.
Yeah.
Because last time we had a 1-2,
you were not
it
driving.
was horrible. And it's my biggest nightmare, rewatching. I don't rewatch the Hungary podium.
No.
But I can't.
Fair.
But this podium, and they were, like, having fun, and, like, the cool-down room was really funny.
It was.
They were just, like, all vibing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Lando saying, like, Oscar and Lando just joking about all of, like, the teammate beef that's happened in the past. They were like, throw the hat, multi-21 Seb. Like, they were just, like, joking about all of the past.
I feel like they're all just so chronically online.
I know, but I love it because everyone's here, like, the new bro-sadies, like, it's Nico and Lewis all over again, like, Mark and Seb, like, all of this, and then Lando's like, multi-21 Seb in the fucking cool-down room. Mark Webber's like, panic. So, because, like, obviously it's just funny because of the reference, but then, like, Mark Webber is actually
in
Oscar's
panic.
manager. Like, he's involved in this, actually. So that's just funny.
Good.
So I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I agree.
Them just like, because they know what gets said, so they're just like,
totally
joking about it in the cool down room. Is so good.
I know, I love it.
That, and also like just I kind of mentioned earlier, like the Jack Doohan and Isaac Hadjar battle was really good.
Yes,
I think they were both like
there were lots of just really good battles.
Yeah.
Throughout the race, and then just hearing the Australian national anthem at the end.
Yeah. What was your favourite moment?
That was it. Hearing the Australian national anthem.
It actually hits.
It really does.
It fucking hits so hard.
Because it's like, you don't, like, aside from the swimming at the Olympics, you never hear it.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, yay!
Literally. And yeah, now we have a week.
We have a week off. Yeah, and then we're in Japan, which
Suzuka.
Great circuit.
Love
I think
it.
Most drivers will say it's one of, if not their favourite circuit. Would expect Liam Lawson to be a bit better around here, given all his experience in the Japanese Super Formula.
Yes.
So fingers crossed for him.
Surely they at least have a look at him here. Because that's the other thing. Liam Lawson's driven 2 half seasons, both the back half of the season.
Yeah.
So all of these early tracks, he's just as much as a rookie as the other rookies.
Yeah, that's true.
So surely you'd like have a look at him at a track that he actually has driven before.
Yes.
But yeah, my friend's going to Suzuka.
Cute.
So he said that he might film some content. He's a videographer, photographer. So
I would love to go to Suzuka. I feel like as an Australian, like, it's so close by, and like, I just love
it'd be such a vibe.
Especially like
the Japanese fans are lit too. Yeah, some of the shit they pull up in, and the Chinese ones a bit too.
Totally.
Slay.
I love it. I'm so
yeah, my friend was like, I can make content if you want. It's like, what content do you want me to make? I was like, whatever you want. Literally we'll post it. So if you see hella cinematic shots of Suzuka, no, it wasn't us.
It was not us on our iPhones.
No. But yeah, I'm really excited. I will be posting the Melbourne vlog in the week off at some point. Need to edit it first. No, it's part edited. So that will be coming out in between this Grand Prix and Suzuka. So make sure to keep your eye out for that. And that's that. Thank you so much for listening to the episode. If you're listening, how do I fuck it up every time? I need to write a script and memorize it because I fuck it up every time. But if you're listening, give us a 5-star review because it really helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Please tell me those cameras are still recording.
This one is.
Yes!
That's going in.